Neilmah and Cope is still the problem, have yet to find a win today. Now it's early-ish in the day. I think we're out of early and into the early to mid-game here of our relegation day. But both these teams need to find a win. They've played in 2 games each, if I'm not mistaken.
1 game right now. This is going to be their second game of the day.
Exactly, and so they're going to look for the win against each other. When it comes down to it, how do you feel about this specific matchup?
I think it's going to be really interesting because Neilmah, despite, some of the members, Kiki specifically and Skeeledon being on Team Envious from before, trying to find their way back into the SPL, is going to be struggling against the powerhouses between Enemy, Noble, Memory of Gabe, and Astral Authority could also pull up quite a upset against them as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they can survive this relegations.
Yeah, I think this is a really telling game. Cope is, I'm just going to call him Cope. I don't think he's the problem, so that name's kind of tough to say. But Cope here and his team against Neilmah, they got a lot of interesting players with a lot of interesting pocket picks. And that's what I'm excited to see as we get into P's and B's. I want to see how deep into these God pools these players go. Because as we heard a number of times from some of our experienced commentators yesterday in Europe, when it comes down to it, in these single game scenarios, you leave nothing in the gym. You need to bring everything on the floor.
Absolutely, especially this stage of the day. It's your second game of the day. Both of these teams without a win quite yet. You have to pull something out of the bag to find a victory here. Zeus Thanatos taken away from Cope, whereas Todd and Nike away from Neilmah.
So the first pick coming out of Neilmah, one of the classic names in Smite, by the way, is Sylvanus, the push guardian, is selected. This name goes back years, actually. It's the namesake of the guardian, NeiruMah, the support player for this team, actually. We've seen Challenger Cup teams be named Neilmah for literal years at this point, so it's fun to see that little throwback there.
Is Izanami going to get locked in for Cope after the Sylvanus alongside the Poseidon here? Not a bad idea trying to lock down Sylvanus with a Whirlpool Kraken because Sylvanus' heal over time is not going to really help him out if he's going to get bursted that quickly.
Apollo, global presence coming out from the Hunter on Neil. And then Ymir, that is likely going to be the selection for.
Double Guardian.
Honestly, I think that's more Kiki than Schleep or a Skeeledon, as his name is. I think we're going to see Ymir in the solo lane from Kiki.
Absolutely. We've seen him play the Kabrakan earlier today, so I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled out the Ymir this time around. Ymir has a lot of offensive capabilities in that solo lane. It's a lot of surprise damage, so a lot of solo laners might not expect it.
You got to keep your mind open, though. Like I said, it could wind up on Skeeledon in the jungle, but I think this is much more Kiki than Skeeledon. That's those janky picks that I was talking about earlier before we got into picks and bans. Kiki has a very eclectic god pool, and he's a traditional solo laner. So those of you that know him as the maybe average mid laner that he was for the past year plus, solo lane. That's his natural position, and his god pool complements it.
And on top of this, whenever you have a magical god in the solo lane, Cope now is going to have to probably build into magical defense, which is going to allow Skeeledon to make those rotations and make it that much more efficient.
Geb is going to be protecting Serqet and Izanami for Cope this time around. Neilmah has 2 more selections, and Sun Wukong pretty much confirms that the Ymir will be in the jungle, so don't count your chickens before they hatch. But that Chang'e mid, that's going to be an interesting look, borrowing a strategy from the console world. Chang'e has been very prevalent here in our Season 4 selections.
What if it's Chang'e solo and Ymir mid?
Real talk, I'm expecting that, but I didn't actually want to say
It's Kiki.
it. That's what I'm saying. Kiki has a propensity to play healers. The old Smite joke is the fact that Kiki only plays female characters and Poseidon and Apwash, but that's an alien. So when it comes down to it, Chang'e solo, Ymir mid is actually a possibility for this team. And as we talked about it again, these jank picks bring us to the game. No more guesswork. Where are they landing? Let's take a look right about now. And that mid laner will be Veneneu on that Chang'e. We'll see Kiki on the Sun Wukong, Skeeledon on the jungle Ymir, NeiruMah and DayToRemeber on the Sylvanus and the Apollo respectively. And across the way on Cope's team, everything is as it should be. Cope solo tier, Mexiety on the jungle, Serqet, Viper, Balentine, and sops make your Poseidon, Geb, and Izanami players.
A lot of burst damage on the side of Cope's team because of the fact that they have Serqet and the Poseidon here. They have so many easy targets here. The immobile guardians here between Skeeledon on the Ymir, NeiruMah on the Sylvanus. Those 2 targets are going to be very juicy here out of Cope's team.
Are they too far? Can NeiruMah just collapse on this if they realize.
They wanted to go so deep there. They actually didn't spot it out. What a great play. They cannot collapse it at this time because even if they tried to collapse on it at this point in time, they would be giving up too much farm in the process. And now Cope, they're going to not only proxy on the left, proxy in the mid, and now they could potentially look to invade the speed on the right and the red on the left.
So we've seen this proxy specifically on the duo side, out of the duo lane. They get the wave in between the tier 1 and the tier 2 tower and then head towards the purple. The fact that these guys are going by the Phoenix for the double proxy and then the jungle clear, that's something new and different, Toli. What can you talk about the efficiency of this strategy?
Well, the efficiency here is the fact that they're only giving up a wave on the right-hand side. This still gives them level 2 between the tier and the Serqet, and now they're going to look to stop and defend their own blue, and they do get it, and now Kiki is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Gone! Mexiety starting things off with a bang. It's first blood before the first minute.
There's no luck for these some wukong players, unfortunately. Kiki's getting the worser end of this. We also saw in the last game as well, Mango was struggling so greatly because of the fact that the Serqet onto the enemy jungler was just punishing him. Sinisher doing a great job in that last game. And now this time around, Mexiety making sure he shuts down Kiki, which is going to put Cope in a great position moving forward.
Early oracles coming out from Cope's team here. Just having the run of the jungle. So as I said before, these guys proxied. This success is off of that strategy 100%. That deep proxy allows so much room for Cope to go ahead, strip the enemy jungle, and then, well, strip the enemy team there. We got to see Kiki just get slaughtered. But how many times can you do that? Because to me, that looks like a severely punishable strategy.
You just have to make sure that you're all grouped up and not giving up too much in the process, because if you're going to proxy farm that deep, the enemy team can proxy that deep as well. And this is a very highly practiced strategy. You have to be able to buy quick enough to be able to get out of your base fast enough to be able to get in that position before the enemy team can stop you in your tracks. As long as you're grouped up as 5, there shouldn't be too many problems, because now at least you're forcing a 5v5 fight anyway on the left-hand side of the map, and that might even disrupt the flow coming out of NeiruMah.
Here's the thing, though. Looked nice. Was interesting to look at.
They got 3
they got
out of the 4 buffs.
They got 3 out of the 4 buffs. They got first blood, and it's a tie game. Teams are separated by 200 gold. I feel like this lead should be so much more. Well, it's 1,000 gold now. Whoops.
Left-hand side, though. Left-hand side, still doing a good job pushing down the wave. Sylvanus is doing a good job in terms of keeping DayToRemeber up alive here. Balentine and sops.
Veneneu.
He might be in a little
toasted.
trouble. He's only level 4. He doesn't have the Chang'e stun. The ultimates are going to come online, but not wanting to commit to the Kraken. Great usage of the beats and the Moonlight Dance.
I would have liked to see, I think, I would have liked to see Mexiety go in there and use the taunt into the ultimate, the full kit and caboodle, instead of just jumping directly for the ultimate. Veneneu able to dance his way out of that problem, no big deal. Team separated by 1,000 gold. I got it right this time. That's why I said it again.
You know, the 2 and the 3 does look kind of close and similar, you know?
You know what, Totally, I don't need your sass right now, okay?
You sure those glasses are okay?
Listen, you and your slippers can just be quiet about the numbers right now,
There's
all right?
nothing wrong with my unicorn slippers.
Cope and Neilmah need to find a unicorn somewhere in this relegation process. I think they understand that they're looking up at their opposition more often than not. And this is one of the few matches that is going to be relatively even. So both of these teams, this is an almost must-win here as Veneneu tosses his ultimate and secures his own buff, it looks like. Going to be an interesting look as that ultimate saves the day for the moment.
Mexiety did actually pick that one up there. The ultimate from Veneneu, not in time to really secure it. So overall, second speed buff stripped away from Cope's team, doing a great job being offensive.
Couldn't even see it in traffic. Cope bringing 4 players down to really invade that speed. Wants to keep Skeeledon down and where he can't do much damage without that speed buff. So Cope here, like I was saying, Cope and NeiruMah here, or Neilmah, excuse me, here with this matchup. I think this is one of the more even matchups we're going to see today in relegation. So both of these teams understand that this is pretty much a must-win. They have to get this win so that they can look at some of the fiercer opponents and have more wiggle room.
Second game of the day for both of them here, and with a rotation on the right-hand side, Cope's team is going to start up the gold here. The Kraken is available. Sylvanus right around the corner, but it's going to get knocked up, doing a lot of damage. The Kraken is not going to secure it because of the reset.
Gold Fury gets reset. NeiruMah, gotta feel good about that. The Wisps get one, DayToRemeber gets the second. Gold Fury still below half HP. Cope is the problem. The team is the problem. Wrong choice is made. And NeiruMah able to grab that, and now teams are separated by 200 gold.
That was a very aggressive call, considering the fact that Mexiety was on the right-hand side, applying so much pressure onto Kiki. He stole away the speed, stole away the blue, even forcing out the ultimate from Kiki to secure the own blue for Cope. But despite all those great plays on the right-hand side, they gave that all away by making a huge misplay on the left, giving up the Gold Fury by only doing it with 3 members.
I liked everything about that play, to be honest with you, Anatoly. I have no problem with Cope making that play whatsoever. 3 players short. It's a lonely Sylvanus. What's he gonna do? Toss his root and steal the Gold Fury? No, the Kraken is there for secure. You hit the shell. Everything was done right except for the execution. Why did they leash?
The problem was everyone was so low from the damage that NeiruMah was applying with the Wrath of Terror, and the Wisps did so much damage that it even killed the Balentine. He was taking so much damage from Gold Fury with the Sylvanus combo, and even the rotation from DayToRemeber found another cleanup kill onto Viper. So even if they got the Gold Fury, they were guaranteed to lose at least 2 members, if not all 3, if they tank that a little bit longer.
Very, very true. There's the dance coming out of Veneneu, and Kraken just not gonna happen. Honestly, neither is Veneneu's ultimate, so, well, ult for ult in the mid lane, everybody comes up short.
And that's a very suspicious ultimate coming out of Veneneu, using that ultimate at that point in time because it's only being paired up with NeiruMah, and there's not much kill potential there. 2 on 3. Left-hand side, though, a lot of damage being traded out between these hunters.
DayToRemeber does a lot of damage, and I love the decision making coming out from the Apollo player. There's no shame in retreating, and as soon as the audacity goes down, you can see the way Apollo holds his hands, and NeiruMah getting held by the enemy team. Everything tossed at him, pushed into the fountain, pushed into the water pool. Skeeledon gets one, but Cope answers back. Skeely gets help from Kiki.
Kiki's making the rotation, wants to find another cleanup kill. The nice wall from Skeeledon, and with the ultimate from Kiki, could potentially chase this down, doing a lot of damage. Knockup is not going to deter Kiki. He knew the decoy was going to kill Viper, using the cudgel on top of Mexiety. Rotation from DayToRemeber not on the mark to be able to stop Serqet from retreating.
And again, those are the small plays that I really, you are being reintroduced to KikiSoCheeky. If you are a fan that has picked up the SPL in the past 2 years or so, you know Kiki is a mid laner, but going back to the beginning of the Smite Pro League, he has always been a solo laner, and he has that type of character knowledge.
Cool guys don't look at explosions, and apparently Kiki doesn't look at dying enemy teammates whenever his decoy is on them. Just great recognition, and this is why he's been just a solid solo laner ever since he first joined the competitive scene way back in the day on Snipe.
Yeah, he's always been an interesting player, whether it's his interesting god pool or his interesting approach to the strategy of the game. Actually, he has a lot of interesting calls, and I'd like to see how he adapts to the pressure that Cope has given them.
And speaking of which, of interesting things is if you look at his build here, he went for the Swift Wing starter item here. It's going to give him a lot of movement speed once he leaves the base for about 15 seconds or so, as well as giving him 10% natural movement speed with 5 HP 5 in the laning phase.
Is that a teleport as well? So he has teleport and the Swift Wing. I feel like these items are usually mutually exclusive. I feel like you pick up the Swift Wing because you want to make it to lane and don't want to invest in that teleport, but here we actually see both. What do you think the benefit of the Swift Wing is here?
It's also going to be just the natural movement speed of the item. It's a very cost-effective, but Cope finds a solo kill onto Kiki because of the fact that the ultimate wasn't available. He had to use it earlier on to secure the kill onto Viper, and now Cope with a solo kill.
Big play coming out from Cope, and like I said, this is the game that you have to come up big if you're on these teams. You absolutely need to make the plays. You need to show the people at home what you're capable of. Right now, all things tied up.
And because of the fact that he went for the Swift Wing, he didn't have the tier 2 silver breastplate for that physical defense, which allowed Cope to get off all the damage from his combination, securing the kill very easily.
Right side, still just solo laner on solo laner. Kiki trying to deal with that, but mid lane, ultimate out of Balentine. Veneneu is going to be in trouble. Can't dance away from this. No hit coming out from the Serqet. Still trying to finish it off. Can't and won't. Mexiety takes a ton of damage and walks away.
This Chang'e pick has been so good so far in terms of not having too many deaths. It's very easy to avoid a lot of the Serqet damage between that Moonlight Dance, having a little bit of sustain before the damage actually comes up, as well as the disruption flow from NeiruMah.
Here's my beef with the Chang'e selection. As you can see, her build being relatively standard, I think, coming out with the boots into, we'll see what that turns into. But here's my problem with the Chang'e, is that right now, DayToRemeber is your only late game damage. NeiruMah, I mean, he's playing in support, right? Skeeledon in the late game is going to transfer from damage-dealing early game Ymir, leaning on Frostbite procs, to just pure Guardian Ymir, basically. And KikiSoCheeky on the Sun Wukong, we'll see where his build goes, but that's another tank. All of your damage is front-loaded on the Hunter.
And I like that idea, though, because the fact that you have these triple magical gods here from Neilmah, but that might bait out Cope's team to be able to start building into magical defense, and then without physical defense, DayToRemeber should be able to absolutely melt people in the late game. Once Apollo gets to that level 17 plus mark, gets like 4 to 5 items with the Audacity stacks, he's a force to be reckoned with.
Okay, I'll give you that. We'll take a look. I'm still not sold, though. I still would like to see more damage out of Veneneu. Do you think he can build aggressively?
Veneneu here should be able to still be aggressive here. It looks like he's going to be building into that Book of Thoth, making sure that he gets the mana that he really wants to be able to start spamming these abilities.
Right now, all things tied up. And a slow-paced game, especially in comparison to some of the other matches that we've seen. In memory of Gabe, starting things off very quickly and continuing on. Took them a while to really find their footing to end the game, but they certainly were able to start things off and go off to a great lead. Noble, also a quickly paced team. When it comes down to these two guys, is it just the way the game is going, totally, or do you think that they're playing slow by design?
It's definitely not slow by any stretch of the imagination, considering how aggressive Cope's team was by proxy farming between the left and the mid Phoenixes, and they're still trying to force the Goldfears here, already less than 25% health. Nice freeze from the backhand side. It's taken away again!
Taken away, stolen. NeiruMah gets credit for it. That's 2, and Kiki gets his kill. That's the second kill for the solo laner. Cope answers back, and so does Mexiety, but he's low. There's a nice little mez and damage coming out from the Apollo. Knockup out of Balentine is good. Skeeledon so off the mark, but DayToRemeber makes up for it with the kill on the Mexiety.
That in-hand from the Apollo was just perfectly timed because of the expired Geb shield to be able to confirm that last hit. Because Serqet is so mobile here with that Heartseeker getting 10% extra movement speed, yet again we see a similar situation where the casting of the freeze animation was in range at the time, but the movement speed puts Mexiety out of range.
And those are the things, you got to keep those in mind. NeiruMah here with the siege coming up in the mid lane, able to take down the tier 1 tower. That'll be 500 gold in the pocket, plus the stolen Gold Fury. And that's going to increase the lead to about 3,000 gold. Really strong play coming out from NeiruMah.
They've been always in position to contest these objectives here. The first one was very sloppy coming out of Cope. The second one was well-timed, but it was all about the positioning from Skeeledon. He came in from behind. He froze Viper from being able to crack in synergy with the Izanami ultimate, and that's what prevented that second Gold Fury going in the way of Cope's team.
And it was the wraparound. It was just the positioning coming out from the players over there. Nobody knew that he was sitting up there on the top, coming around the corner and able to grab it. Very quickly, we take the brief break. We're going to come right back into the game, and we'll see where everybody's at. DayToRemeber, very important kill that he lands there. 2-0-1. I feel like the Hunters have been relatively quiet here.
And both of his kills were off of the backs of those failed Gold Furies from Cope's team.
Yeah.
Just benefiting DayToRemeber moving forward. Level 14 currently, still looking to get into that later game. Nice juke from Cope, going underneath Skeeledon, juking out that freeze.
Mexiety shows up just to provide Cope a little bit of help here in the dual lane.
And off of that,
keep the aggression up.
Off of that freeze as well, though, you always want to be able to basically hug the Ymir. The closer you are to him, the shorter the cone range is. So now, yet again, Mexiety, he wants to put pressure here onto Skeeledon, but the wall is off the mark, not positioning it correctly.
Skeeledon walls himself. That's gotta hurt. The Kraken, on the other hand, doesn't hurt as much as Viper wish it would have. Not enough damage coming out from the ultimate of the Poseidon player. Here comes the chase from Cope. Hits him with the ultimate. The Fearless is not going to be
body
good.
block. He can't get out.
Can't find it. There's the Serqet. The dash is strong. NeiruMah falls.
Great play from Neilmah finding a kill yet again. Everybody's just out of position here. I'm sorry, it's NeiruMah that fell, and Cope's team's just doing a great job surprising them around that speed buff. They've been consistently applying pressure onto that speed buff ever since the beginning of the game, and they're just not letting go of the gas pedal. Now, all they have to do is make sure that they don't give up Gold Furies like the way they have been, and they could still win this game.
So yeah, exactly. I think the first Gold Fury was kind of just a problem. The second one, you get surprised like that. Now, you shouldn't be zoning, you should have the vision, but I feel like that one is a little bit more forgivable than the first time that we saw just an egregious misplay on the side of Cope, and that's why we see them trailing by about 3,000 gold here in our 15th minute.
Heading forward, still looking for more plays around the left-hand side. The rotation from DayToRemeber just maximizing his farm. He's going to be in a position, like you mentioned, where he's going to be basically the only physical damage of the team. Kiki has to be that frontline tank, so he can't really go offensive. And the way Neilmah has been playing so far, he's in a great position to do so. Experience not too much in the favor of anybody at this point in time, but it's still really early, only 15 minutes in.
DayToRemeber here on this Apollo is going to get ganked, but he'll be able to make his out thanks to the ultimate. This is another player. Similar, this DayToRemeber and Famous Hate exist. They're very similar players to me, at least in their story. Maybe not their play style, but their story, in the sense that they run the Challenger Cup. They run the Challenger Cup. You can catch them on Friday Night Fights. You can see them in any Eager tournament that gets thrown. And in fact, DayToRemeber, king of the AVGL, the collegiate league that gets run. DayToRemeber absolutely destroyed it. He actually came to LAN here at hi-rez thanks to AVGL and was able to perform fantastically, but has yet to really make that jump into the Pro League. Totally, what's the difference between dominating everything beneath Pro League level and the actual SPL?
It's just about the team synergy that you have with your teammates there. Whether or not you're in the AVGL, the Challenger Cup, there's a lot of the difference of experience gap between playing with 4 other players for about a month versus a year.
Oh, well, Kiki's in trouble here. That is... Will the points be good enough, Tully?
It's one more tick, and they find him. Mexiety finding Kiki yet again with his 3rd death over the top. Lawbringer Cope looking for some more damage. He's going to be able to zone away Veneneu. He's pushing NeiruMah back into danger.
Oh, there's the ultimate out of NeiruMah.
Nice
Needed,
ultimate.
and a beautiful Veneneu ultimate. Nobody can catch up to the Guardian. That Sylvanus is out of there. There's a freeze coming out from Skeeledon. Cope trying to make it happen. Fearless into the power cleave, saved by the Geb. Ultimate out of the Ymir, not going to be strong enough. And the jungle Ymir will not be able to make the play.
Sops is here, though. He finds the cleanup kill onto Skeeledon, still trying to chase down DayToRemeber, but instead going to Veneneu instead. He needed to find 1 or 2 more in here. It's not on the mark, but yet again, speed buff being contested and finally secured for Cope's team yet again. Taking that away from Skeeledon on this Ymir. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult for him, and now they're going to go straight for the Portal Demon. No hesitation.
Easy. Kiki gets there a little bit too late, so the Jingle Bang won't actually be as effective as he might have wanted it to be. DayToRemeber taking to the sky, not willing to let it go. Lands on top. Mexiety is toasted. There's the Mez coming out, and Cope is forced to jump over the wall into the tier 2 tower over there on the right-hand side.
Great use of that Apollo ultimate, just punishing the overextension from Cope's team. It was a great sneaky play to be able to burst down that Portal Demon. It has the same health and protections, or like relatively close to the Gold Fury at every stage of the game, so it's very easy to burst it down if the team is not in position quick enough to defend it.
Now, this Gold Fury is going to be one of the bigger plays here in the game, I think, for NeiruMah. They don't show any signs of actually leashing that one. Down the objective goes, and that's going to separate teams by 3,000 gold, or at least 200 shy of it. And that's good. That is the first real big lead of the game. We saw NeiruMah have about 3,000 gold lead before, but it was snatched away. It's up to Cope to snatch it away again.
Cope's team also had an earlier lead once they started a proxy farm, but like we mentioned before, those 2 failed Gold Furies in the beginning allowed Neilmah to still stay, still stay in contention here. Now they have that comfortable 3,000 gold lead, and this is the point in time where they can start grouping up. With this Chang'e heal is going to get stronger and stronger once the items come online.
And there's a little bit of a freeze, follow-up damage, not all there. Knock-up out of Kiki is good. 3 players get knocked up, but no follow-up. Sylvanus shows his face, and that's about it. Kiki gets fearless into his own tower. And Veneneu's here to survive and heal.
Skeeledon looking for a wall potentially, trying to juke out the power cleave, but it's not going to matter. The tier passive makes that freeze last for less than half a second.
There's the flip over the top. Here comes the blink. Ymir ultimate. Not going to be enough to kill anybody, but neither will the ultimate out of Viper. The Poseidon. Kraken not doing it. Veneneu safe on the bottom side, but could be engaged on by Cope. Veneneu has no HP, he has to be careful. NeiruMah caught out of the jungle.
Mexiety, he found the dash, and now it's going to be Mexiety taking a spill as Kiki made the rotation underneath, using the ultimate to cut the distance, stunning out Cope, setting up Veneneu with another stun of himself. The Geb Shield going to top off Geb for a little bit. Nice Aegis to prevent the Fearless combination, but Cope has nowhere to go. Second death for Cope's team.
Veneneu winds up with his first kill of the game there in that exchange. 1, 2, and 4 for the...
He's looking for him. He doesn't find him in time. How unfortunate for DayToRemeber. Either way, though, still being positioned on the left-hand side, not able to really take advantage and defend this tier 1 tower on the right.
I almost thought they were going to go for the tier 2. Not going to be the case, as 10 and 10 are the kills on either side. You add that together, and you get the time on our match right here. Cope is still the problem, is trailing by about 4,000 gold here, folks. And as we are, as I said, early mid-game of our relegation broadcast today, I think that this is a very important match for these two individual teams.
It's game number 6 currently out of a potentially 15 with maybe even more tiebreakers depending on how these teams stand at the end of the day. So very important right now as this is their second game for both of these teams to find their first win of the day. Somebody's guaranteed to win.
Yes, that is at least true. Somebody has to win this game. Can you imagine if we had ties in Smite? How would you even accomplish a tie? Would you kill the Minotaur at the same time?
I would ask Viper to ultimate me in the brain.
I think the way to get a tie is to get 4 people on both teams to F6. If y'all both surrender.
At the same time.
If you guys both surrender, absolutely. So you hear that ping right there? That's actually the Chang'e bunny. Big change into season 4, or maybe right beforehand, is how fast that Chang'e is able to purchase from base from lane. Her passive, very unique one, and that bunny moves so much faster than he used to.
And that's going to allow him to stay in the laning phase as long as he really wants to. Having that extra time to go back, maybe get a chalice even, so therefore you don't have to start necessarily a chalice right off the bat. You can actually purchase that later on. Now you can't basically purchase one afterwards, so you have to be very careful about how you go about that.
That sounded so passive aggressive. You don't have to buy the chalice in the early game. You can buy it later, because I know you don't like the chalice start.
I'm not a big fan of it.
Ooh, the grab from behind. Mexiety's going to take Skeeledon on the fight, and Cope saves the life right into the Kraken. Beautiful setup. Skeeledon knows he's got nowhere to go. Goes to the ultimate. Viper, credit on the kill. Here comes Kiki, transferring into his ultimate, and NeiruMah going to be controlled. 4 players here. Viper low, gets stunned out. Aegis on cooldown. He's safe, but there's Veneneu.
Veneneu missing his ultimate completely. Now Cope is diving the backline. He still wants to find more people with a fearless combination, but with that one pick onto Skeeledon, Cope's team is just going to play it slow, respecting the heals between the Sylvanus and Chang'e combination. Great play, finding the pick, and more importantly, just making sure that they weren't all grouped up for Veneneu's ultimate.
Here's the jump forward. Cope still looking for a fearless. Hits him with the blue fearless. Looking for the red one. Fearless into the wall. Power cleave is delayed thanks to the pull, and there's a shield for Cope. He'll be safe off of the tower. Great defense coming out from NeiruMah. Still, Cope in trouble as he gets aggressed on. Viper knocked up. Viper knocked down. DayToRemeber gets the kill. It's number 4.
That sustain is just too much for Cope's team, and now they're on the run here, continuously throwing out those wisps. They're going to be able to position themselves around that Gold Fury as it's just about to respawn here. DayToRemeber can easily burst this down, and especially with Viper still being dead, they're going to do both the Portal Demon and the Gold Fury at the same time.
And that should be relatively easy, except for the Gold Fury going to be teleported on. Mexiety says hello, so does Cope, who has been one of the driving forces here. Gold Fury picked up, half HP already. Cope is still the problem. They're going to capitalize off of NeiruMah's mistake this time around. The very first Gold Fury.
Fire Giant is being started on the right-hand side. Apollo will take the portal. It's already less than 25% health. Balentine is going to roll away. What a sneaky play from Neilmah.
You got to know that's happening.
You can't let that go.
Cope trailing by 3K plus a Fire Giant.
It's going to start escalating past that 3K mark. About 5,000 gold worth of towers on the table for Neilmah to peel away.
Cope is still the problem. Well, Cope has been one of the standout players, I think, in this game, believe it or not. Mexiety has performed relatively well, but Cope on this tier has been able to find some of the absolute perfect fearlesses to set up his teammates, specifically Viper. Here comes setup of NeiruMah out of his own. Gets 2 knockups, but no big of a deal.
It's going to slow things down, but it's going to be actually Balentine caught in an awkward position. A nice wall from Skeeledon. Can't find the skip on the left-hand side. And now Sops, he's going to try to do something at least on his team. Get him maybe a tier 2 tower, but a nice teleport from Kiki is going to prevent that opportunity.
Good use of the teleport. He's still giving chase. Pops the health pot. Not going to go for the kill just yet.
I like the mindset from Sops just to stick around here in the duo lane, making sure that somebody from Neilmah has to defend, trying to take the 1v1 currently because of the Fatalis effects, can easily kite around here. Now, doesn't really have the lifesteal, so if he takes continuous damage from Kiki, he's not going to be able to win that exchange. Nice Jingle Band revealing Sops.
So right now, Toli, what's the next step? NeiruMah has a big lead, and this is exactly where I was going to go with the conversation, is that you have the Fire Giant. Just push already. Why is Neilmah waiting so much?
They've been wanting to make sure that they strip away some of the jungle buffs as well. They found the speed buff away on the right-hand side of the map. After they got the tier 2, they went to speed. Now they're going to go to the left-hand side after they already got the tier 2 in mid. So that 3,000 gold lead that they had earlier on, now is about to be 8,000 once they get these last 2 remaining towers on the left.
And this one's going to go down very quickly. That's 500 gold for this, and then of course 1,500 for the tier 2 tower. There's a good wall. Skeeledon to the freeze. I keep expecting Skeeledon to go deeper than he actually is, but he's just a little bit too cautious at the moment for my liking. Still waiting.
Trying to see
Chang'e
is going to be the buffer here. We see over the top is the Lawbreaker, but a beautiful wall from Skeeledon is going to prevent it. A nice little knock-up here from the Sylvanus. Chang'e ultimate deterring away. The Kraken is going to do a little bit of damage as Balentine retreats.
Copebby gets the kill. Mexiety gets the kill, but Cope did all the heavy lifting. Tier 2 tower goes down. Pretty sure that's what the teams are looking for. Mexiety gets 1. There's the support. Nice hit out of DayToRemeber to stop the Fearless in the tracks. Cope still looking for the kills. NeiruMah surrounded. That's likely to be a dead support, and so it will be. Mexiety gets number 8 on the contest.
Despite losing 3 members, getting every single tower wiped away from Cope's team. On top of this, there's no objective here for Cope's team to be taking. Gold Fury's down for another 2 minutes. Fire Giant's down for another 2 minutes. The Portal Demon's probably down for another 2 minutes as well. So they have to be able to get some towers of their own. They got the tier 1 mid. They're going to continue onto this tier 2. Now the question is, do they have enough time to get this Phoenix? I don't think so.
Nah, they can't get the Phoenix totally, but they absolutely can get the tier 2 if they commit to it. And they will. 1,500 plus the 500 of the other tower. 2,000 gold for the mid lane into the pockets of Cope. And that's going to shorten the lead up to about 5,000 gold instead of a much larger number like 7.
After stripping away those 2 buffs, they could have elected to maybe go for this tier 1 tower on the right-hand side, but without too many players here wanting to back and spend their gold, they're electing to play it relatively safe here, positioning themselves for the next objectives, because if they did push that tier 1 tower, now they could have overextended to the point where if they die, these respawn timers will not allow them to defend the next objectives.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, you absolutely have to make those decisions, and that one was a good example of the correct decision. Viper and Cope, they've looked to be a very strong duo. Cope, now Mexiety is the jungler, make no mistakes, but Cope is the one that keeps pushing players into the whirlpool. Viper will actually put down the whirlpool in the middle of the team fight. Cope will recognize it, notice it, orientate himself, and then fearless somebody into it, ensuring that the Kraken is going to hit after the cripple.
He's just filling his role in nicely. That's what you have to do as a soul lane warrior. Get into the backline in any way possible. You have the Lawbringer, you have the Blink Runes to penetrate the backline, look for the 180 Fearlesses, and hope that the Whirlpool is going to be there to set up even more power play opportunities. And like we mentioned before, Skeeledon and NeiruMah are very easy targets here with their large hitboxes to connect that Fearless.
Ooh, trouble over the top. Cope is going to get the Fearless out of the support. Forced out to use the Wrath of Terra, knocking up 3. and that be that. Nice little wisp
I don't think
heal.
he really needed to use that ultimate there. There was only 3 members from Cope's team to be able to take advantage of it. So now without that ultimate from NeiruMah, that's a huge space control taken away, and that one ultimate can continuously set up Veneneu for an ultimate of his own.
So here's my, ooh, well, we'll hold that. Portal Demon is going to be taken away. Unleashed one more time. Fearless right into the combo. That's what we were talking about. Cracking over the top, but it's saved. The Aegis is too strong. Cope punishes after the fact.
Triple ultimate
There's
from
the ultimate out of
Veneneu.
Chang'e.
Triple ultimate from Veneneu, finding the kill. DayToRemeber still dead, utilizing the sustain from Chang'e and Sylvanus to stay topped off. Viper in a lot of trouble. He's going to get chased down by Kiki a little bit, but now nobody's peeling for Veneneu. He's so low against Cope.
And he's going to be dancing away. Cope finds the heal, so does Veneneu. Fearless is strong enough to take the life of the mid lane Chang'e. Can Cope escape here? It's 1v3 at the moment, but he's got some help. Skeeledon walls off the rest of the help, but everybody walks away from Cope, who's been out of control. 5, 2, and 10 for the namesake of this team competing in our relegations. 16 kills in total, comparatively speaking to NeiruMah's 12. They're certainly leading there, but NeiruMah has the gold lead by about 3,000. Fire Giant gets taken by Cope. That's going to even things up, and Skeeledon, he is dead.
He's toast, completely toast here. Balentine even credited with that kill after the roll. They lost 2 members earlier on, and I'm still looking back at the ultimate that was used by NeiruMah when he was caught out of position. Had that ultimate been available for the Sylvanus player, that could change the tide around completely, because Veneneu, he found a beautiful 3-man ultimate, and there was just not enough damage there earlier on. Now, granted, the play from Cope as well. He found a blink 180 fearless onto both Veneneu and DayToRemeber, and despite the Kraken being negated by the Aegis, they still found DayToRemeber, so that's a very difficult 4v5 for Neilmah.
And Neilmah is running into the problem that we addressed early on, in the fact that DayToRemeber is one of the only damage dealers on this team. Ymir has more power than you might expect, but still kind of coming up short. The forced initiation by Cope is still the problem. Pulled into the Phoenix is going to be the support ults, but it still works. Either you initiate or you force me to. Either way, we come up the same. Cope gets 3 kills, excuse me. And the right Phoenix is going to go down here. They'll transfer over to the mid and take that Firebird as well. Once after that, time can only tell.
Cope is now in the lead yet again. They had a great early game. They were struggling in the mid, and now they're even looking to close this game out. They lost 1 member in the process, but they got 3 players dead on Neilmah. They're going to try to maybe force out this Titan?
Yeah, that's what the play is, going directly for the Titan. It's already down to 50% HP. Cope can play defense.
They got it.
Neilmah drops the ultimates. They seize the opportunity. And Cope, they're going right for it. Over the top, the Order Titan claims Cope, but Cope claims the Order Titan. And they win with just a 2,000 gold lead.
Just like that, 1 Fire Giant just taken off the table. They find the Phoenix. They found the 3 kills that they really needed to. Sometimes you just got to give up the first Phoenix and wait for other players to respawn.
That one, like I said, Toli, that was going to be one of the more evenly matched games, and it was one of the closer games.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it really was. There was one player that was really running it, I think, and it was Cope. The play on the tier was just out of control. Time and time again, you're going to see, not this play, but this play, sure, just tier beating stuff up. You're going to see this play next, which is going to replay time and time again. Cope comes up, finds a Fearless into a wall. This is the solo kill.
This is, to be honest, like that, he was just taking advantage of the fact that Kiki didn't have physical defense at that point, going for the swift move. But that play right there, the double Fearless into the Kraken, which forced out the double Aegis, finding the kill onto DayToRemeber with the Izanami sounds preventing the dash, is what allowed Cope's team to win the rest of the team fight.
Yeah, that Fearless into the Whirlpool every single time, Anatoly. Now, you see that happen once, and you go, well, that was kind of like luck of the draw, serendipity, if you will, right? But every time, Cope to come over the top. I want to explain how intense this play is. You come over the top with the ultimate. In the air, Cope has to assess the situation and find not only where the Whirlpool is, but orient himself on the other side of the target and the Whirlpool. Fearless him into it, guaranteeing the connection from the ultimate out of the mid lane. It's not something easy to do.
Not at all. And he also found a lot of fearlessness into the Izanami ultimates. And on top of this, there was a lot of setup, not only from Cope, but also from Mexiety in the early game, finding a lot of aggression that because of the early start here from Cope's team with the proxy farming, they're able to get 3 out of 4 buffs, make the rotation to defend their own blue, find the first blood on KikiSoCheeky, which is what allowed Cope to get that solo kill later down the road.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. I was going to say, despite the replay, Mexiety was making a lot of noise early on in the game. Later, as the game went off, he sort of gave the handoff right to Cope, and we just saw more and more of the tier play. Even here, that's a tier highlight for me. That ain't no Serqet play. That's Cope.
I mean, what, he pressed
still crushing
he
it.
pressed 4 and left click. You got to give it all to Mexiety there.
The zigzag claims another life. Serqet, such a dominant selection here today.
Absolutely, and also was doing a great job at making any sort of play, whether it was by himself or by his team. And as a result now, after their second game, finding the first victory, and this could be a momentum builder for them moving forward.
It's definitely possible, but as we said before, both these teams had 0 wins, and somebody had to win it. So NeiruMah is going to look up as Cope take the victory out from under them. Astral Authority and Neilmah still without any points whatsoever. Cope and Noble will be tied up there for the number 2 spot, and in memory of Gabe and Enemy will be tied up for the number 1. Keep in mind, 3 teams out of these 6 will make it into the Pro League. We got a lot more Smite to come.
Absolutely. That's going to be the game number 6 of the day. We're going to be heading into a quick break here as we're going to be heading into game number 7 soon.